Hello. Now, you know this saying in this part of the country that when you see what is more important than the yams, you sell the barn. But the barn contains all the yams. But if you see something more important than the yams, you sell out the barn. You know that, look at your watch. We're very much behind schedule. And that was because the issues my colleagues were treating in Enugu required a little more time. So we disobeyed the rule of 10 for 10. But because also the matter arising from the Abuja station this morning is critical in our national conversation, we cannot postpone it for tomorrow. So that is why this morning we're going to look at the state of the Nigerian state. And we're going to raise the question, is our democracy under siege? Now, yesterday, some group got together to tell us, to raise the alarm in fact. They engaged with the media and said, all is not well with our democracy. And I'll soon introduce my guest to you. And I'll read out the critical issues they raised. And as we talk, you join us as we engage him this morning. And my guest this morning is Prince Rwang Jr. Now, let me not make a mistake. I'll read out who he is clearly. He is the chairperson or the leader of the coalition to protect and defend our democracy, COPDEM. Rwang Jr., you're welcome to the program.
The pleasure is mine, sir.
Hi, Josh.
Josh is cold.
Always.
Yes, colder compared to other parts
of the country.
Yes, sir. Josh is okay.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Permit me to read out what I consider was a critical comment you made yesterday while engaging with us in the media. Now, you said, and let me read you out, the soul of Nigeria's democracy is under siege. Unless we rise united and resolute to reclaim it, we may soon find ourselves in an irreversible state of tyranny. The soul of Nigerian democracy is under siege. That's a strong statement. What signs are you seeing?
Well, Chief, it's a pleasure being here. Thank you very much for that question. When we look at the soul of a particular organ, it is the very fabric that controls its existence. What are the various elements, the internal organs of a democracy? We look at the process. We look at the empire. We look at the people. These are primary stakeholders apart from the politicians. In Nigeria's democracy today, the political elite have been able to perfect the process of attaining power through non-democratic means using, quote and unquote, a democratic process. If you ask Nigerians today, why did 70 million Nigerians refuse to go to the polls in 2023? 90 million registered voters. They don't have trust in the system. And that was when things were a bit better. Fuel was maybe less than 1,000. I mean, per liter, 300 naira. Now we're looking at almost 1,000. Today the economy is so bad. People have scaled down eating food for the families. Like, it's no longer 3 square meals. It's 1 square meal a day, and very few people have it. Now, with that trend, when even we are engaging people on this is what we are facing as a nation, and we need to rise up to it, they will look at you and say, did you bring some food for us? Which shows that the poverty level is so deep that weaponization of it has been made very easy, that everything is open for grabs. Everything is transactional within the Nigerian polity. So if we go on this line, Chief, what will be left of Nigeria by 2023? It's just going to be...
I mean by 2027.
Sorry, 2027. It's just going to be nobody's voting.
Rwang Jr.,
Yeah.
let me just quote a major stakeholder in Nigeria's democratic structure.
Yeah.
The president of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I believe you agree with me.
Prime.
He's a major stakeholder.
Prime. Yes.
He said in Rome, when he led Nigerian delegation for the burial of the Pope, that poverty is not a crime. Society is configured to have its poor. So Nigeria has not committed any crime. Democracy in Nigeria has not been hurt just because what ought to be is. Poverty is an integral part of every society, he says. So to label Nigeria is not right because poverty is not a crime. Does it agree with your argument this morning?
Yeah, poverty is maybe not a crime, but it is a crime when the country that has this poverty or stricken people is one of the most blessed nations endowed with natural resources. There is no state of Nigeria that doesn't have minerals in abundance. And when I say minerals, I don't mean Coca-Cola and Sprite. We have all sorts. Nasarawa has dozens. You go to Niger State, there is gold. They are mining it as we speak. You get to Zamfara State, you get to the Zambezi forest. This country is blessed in abundance. We're not even talking about the oil of the Niger Delta that has sustained Nigeria for all these years. We're not talking about the tin from the Jos Plateau that built London. So how can people so blessed be so impoverished? No, Mr. Senate President, you are definitely wrong. People are poor, countries can be poor, but to be labeled poverty capital of the world consecutively in years, it's a crime. It's a big crime. So, no, we don't deserve to be. If this poverty included the members of the political elite, then maybe we can say, okay, they were all suffering, it will all come out of it together. But they are buying jets. They are building libraries for 20 billion naira, while people are looking. Ngozi, just next to me, my neighbor, just wants a sewing machine for 20,000 naira to start her business. How insensitive can this government be? We are the poverty capital of the world because the political class have impoverished Nigeria. That's just the long and short of it.
Well, Akpabio says nobody has committed a crime. It's all part of human and societal configuration. After all, the Bible says that the poor will also always be with us. But you think that we have mismanaged things, and those responsible for that mismanagement are the political elite. Now, let me
I think Akpabio should consult with his colleague. There's this guy from Edo State, Oshomole. If there's no crime committed, why should Oshomole ask every Nigerian politician to join the party and all the sins are forgiven? Crime has been committed, and repeatedly so.
But a forgiven sin no longer counts as a crime.
Yeah, but the affected party suffers the damage. Like somebody cuts off my leg and say he's sorry, and I say I've forgiven him, doesn't bring back the leg. And the problem is he's looking at the next leg to cut again.
Yeah, let me, because I said this conversation is going to be quite comprehensive.
Yeah.
Nigeria's democracy under siege.
Yep, we are.
Let us look at even the definition. Everybody mouths it. The democracy is a government of the people, for the people, by the people. For goodness sake, those running Nigeria are Nigerians.
Yeah.
Those running Nigeria were elected by Nigerians. Those running Nigeria are running it in the interest of this country. So the three variables, the three factors that make up a successful democracy, the three elements are in operation. hale and hearty. Am I not worried that in such a functional system, where the government is from among those operating it are from among us anyway, and they are operating in our interest, how can you then say that what is right is under siege?
Okay, there are probably two perspectives to that. Yes, they are from among us. But there's a popular saying that the punishment for those who see evil being perpetrated and do nothing will sort of continuously in perpetuity bear the brunt of being ruled by the worst of us, a kakistocracy. Now, it's from among us, but quite a number of the good people of Nigeria, which is a majority of us actually, lose hope too easily. And that's the bane, the very foundation of this clarion call, that as long as those who mean well for Nigeria do not come out to vie for political office, do not come out to vote during elections, then the quota of those who are paid to be thugs and the rest of them are the only ones who come out to vote and the only ones who contest in the process. Yes, you will get a leadership, a democracy for the corrupt, by the corrupt, but all of us suffer it. So we need to come out. A siege is when we're covered and gradually pressed into submission, sending in elements, emptying our water reserve. We're unable to survive. Our food reserve is thinning, and we are not progressing as a people that are covered. And those who are around us are ensuring that we don't get subsistence. At the end of the day, we surrender to their whims and caprices. That is what is happening. The political class and their allies are milking Nigeria dry and making it hard for Nigerians to live if they don't bow down before them. And we're seeing the examples from the top.
I'm interested in beginning to point out the foot soldiers of the siege. What are the issues that warrant this fear we're expressing? We have a fully blown National Assembly functioning. We have a functioning executive. We have a functioning judiciary. The Independent National Electoral Commission, which is the institution charged with conducting elections, is strong and well. The political parties are functioning, and people are moving from one party to another in a healthy movement. Frankly speaking, I want you to recruit me into your fears, and let us begin to point at the elements that warrant these fears.
Well, a functional judiciary connotes that when you get to the judicial system in the country, you get justice, which is far from the case when it comes to political antecedents in the past 5-15 years. We could have some trickles of justice when it comes to other forms of arbitration or litigation, but politically speaking, we don't seem to get it right. Clearly, it is the transactionalism of the political class has permeated the judiciary. If any politician tells you to go to court, you know what that means. In fact, if an Okada rider tells you to go to court, you begin to wonder, you know what it means. Because it's like our judiciary is for the highest bidder. And
is there any political item that you know that in this our conversation, in this our country, in this experience, have been put off for sale?
Well, we have...
Tell me one political article that you think did not go through the appropriate judicial process and the outcome was a sound judicial pronouncement.
It didn't go through the judicial process and the outcome was sound. No, well, a few cases, we can't say, we can't generalize that all lawyers, seem to be corrupt. But the electioneering process has over the years seems to be a windfall for all that are recruited by INEC, especially our returning officers. A windfall for lawyers because they make money, whether there's a case or no case. Good. Now, there's this case in Plateau State. The elected members were under the platform of the PDP, but there was, quote unquote, skirmish, factions of the PDP, and they won their seats. The people massively voted for them, including the governor, Caleb Mutfwang. So the opposition took it to court. These people had a faction, they were not fully blah, 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 you know, the whole antecedents. Now, while all the elected members lost out on that basis, the governor was returned on the same basis. So are we missing something here? You and I are in the same party. We are voted by the same people. We took it to the same judicial process. I lost my seat, you got yours. So there are...
You think something is wrong there?
Definitely something is wrong. And, well, they were lucky that the governor had returned, but I'm telling you, if the governor had not returned, Plateau would have gone ablaze. Yeah, because they had suffered under Simon Lalong, who didn't care a bit. In fact, it got to a state that they had to get corpses of a village that's been besieged and so on, and attacked by unknown gunmen, right to the government house, and placed them in front of the governor's house for burial. They left them there and walked away because he wasn't paying attention. So people were tired of that. You say that's an example of when people stand up and speak for themselves. They tell you how they are feeling inside. So they had to do that. And everybody was fed up. We could not, the state could not endure him for one more day. So anyone that would have come under that party will be suffering the backlash of that governor, no matter what happened. So the people stood out and made sure the governor understood. So within that case, all the members of the House of...
lost out.
Lost out. Senate, reps lost out, but the governor was returned.
So and on that score, you query the fairness of the judiciary.
Of course, it's not fair.
The soundness of the judiciary.
It's not fair. Probably for the greater good, but definitely not justice served. What of the other people? So that's one other aspect. And for the 2023 elections, the 12-hour judgment, we all know, how can you just lay aside everything, the merits of the case, and then you base your judgment on technicalities? Who does that? They are just lucky, like, okay, the judgment was deliberately made for 12 hours, and almost, even them, the judges, were sleeping.
Oh, some of the judges began to sleep. Now,
yeah.
Okay, that is querying how right the judiciary has been in handling these political cases, and you think that is that one instance, an aspect of this that ought to be considered in taking back our democracy.
Yes.
How do we take back our democracy?
Our democracy, it's a process.
Because you say we should reclaim it. Mm-hmm. How do we reclaim it?
Achieve by just standing up, and we don't have the luxury as Nigerians to say we are tired with the system. The system is corrupt. The judiciary is corrupt. INEC as an organization is totally corrupt. It has said in 2023 that some of his staff, ad hoc staff, and his own staff have been compromised. We, during that time within SAMBA, the Southern Middle Belt Alliance, requested that they bring out those people, do what...
Let them face the music.
Let them face the music before the governorship election, because that was after the presidential, so that they can be a warning, a consequence to be a warning for the coming governor's election, so that would have a fairer system. But no, up till today, it's 2 years. So we have lack of consequence. First of all, to get our democracy, there has to be, first of all, consequence. Let those things be visited. A crime cannot expire. Let them follow them up, bring out their list, and let us see consequence. Because if my neighbor doesn't want to go out to vote because his votes won't count, it's because INEC is compromised. And if it is the same INEC, what guarantee can I give him that the same INEC would not do worse? Because those who were there, who did the wrong, no consequence. Those who steal ballot boxes, they're on camera, no consequence. Those who burn ballot papers, attack the polling unit, no consequences. Those who attacked Maria, punctured her eye, she went to look for medication, came back to the same place and voted, no consequences. So as long as there is no consequences for electoral crimes, we don't have a democracy. So that is one aspect. It has to be all round. And when you have uniformed men carrying the bags of money for their sponsors, whether from reps and as the candidates, so that they will be sharing and buying votes, is bribery and corruption not a crime in the country? It is a crime. So those are the things. We have to have consequences for crimes, electoral crimes. We have to have consequences for any actions like, okay, every political party is supposed to have a ceiling. You are supposed to present your election expenses. There is supposed to be a ceiling for it. When will INEC begin to check those things? We need to have a complete overhaul of the electoral system. We need electoral reforms. If INEC needs to be dismembered or reduced so that the responsibility will be carried out
more
organs, smaller organs in a more organized manner, so you can have who to hold responsible for logistical failures, and then who to hold responsible for infractions when it comes to declaration of results. It probably would make it easier for the system to be a bit more accountable and sanitized. Now, other things that we need to do to regain our democracy is also in line with electoral reforms, before I come to the part of the people, that why is it optional for INEC to decide whether or not to declare election results from the polling unit? Why should it be optional? It's supposed to be mandatory. They shouldn't choose whether or not they want to use beavers. Billions were spent for it. What is the real logic? They just want to manipulate the system. They go to Chatham House and say, be rest assured, we're going to have to do this. You receive your results live. Everybody was at peace. We're doing permutations of who would win. And we know who won. Our permutations came to pass. But all of a sudden at 4 a.m., you have us having some magic happening. So secondly and finally, the most important participant in the reclaiming of democracy is the people. That is you and I. China went through a lot of reorganization internally. Mao Zedong, from Singapore, they had a leader who had a vision. America went through real civil war to become a nation. India had gone through hell, despite the caste system, to stabilize. Each of these nations that is called a world power today had a period of turbulent period in its history, but people came out to speak at some point that we're tired of this. So unless and until the Nigerian public realize that change will not come through prayer, but change will come through available vessels that the God they pray for would use to accomplish this act, then we have not done anything. Because as long as nobody goes to the polling unit to vote and defend those same votes, then we have simply issued out our mandates and outsourced it to any criminal in the corridor of power to manipulate. It is our duty. We don't expect Chinese to come and do it for us. It is the duty of Nigerian citizens. Apart from the thugs, how many are they? 2 thugs will attack a polling unit of 200 men. Does it make sense? And then we run away? We have to get to a point that we are ready for thugs that are coming to disrupt our elections and face them. And there are policemen there. But we as a people must know that what we have is precious, and let us start defending it. Too much of the complaining. What has it gotten? Where has it gotten us thus far? We have complained for every election, even local government elections. We're complaining, but we're not taking the actions. So you and I need to wake up. And when we go to vote, make up our mind that we either have these votes protected or we die protecting them. Or else our children will say our parents were cowards.
Now, all over the country, people like your group, groups like yours, are raising red flags and saying that our system, our democracy is facing a very big challenge. And all of this was ticked off by defections. Some people have even touted that Nigeria could be heading to a one-party state just because some people defected. And the argument of those defecting are two. One is that the political parties from which they are defecting no longer represents real democratic institution. The second is that, after all, the Nigerian Constitution guarantees freedom of association, you are at liberty to move from one association to another. How do these fundamental provisions threaten our democracy? Does defection really threaten our democracy? Are we heading towards a one-party state? Are we headed towards tyranny? Let me use your own words.
Yes, we're headed towards a one-party state. In fact, we could see a one-party state in full action before even the 2027 elections. A one-party state is where everybody is, only one party, quote and unquote, is controlling the entire country. When we have no opposition, seemingly we have something like an opposition, but it's terribly weak. And while in a developed climate we have coalitions formed to challenge the status quo, to give an opposition, so to give a balanced chance of fighting, not like Arsenal playing with GSS Mahia in a match. Let's have real competition. The very people that are supposed to form the coalition are running under the umbrella of the broom. So it's now one party. Okay, Delta is now technically, what state in the South is yet to bow? We have the arm twisting of River State. It's now under martial law, whether we like it or not. It's under military rule. Are they actually using the constitution? It was, in fact, the process of removing Fubara and dismantling the entire efforts of the electorate there constitutional. Why was the guy who spoke out in the House of Representatives silent? Where are the videos? Where are the pictures to show the process? Narrow-minded people there. And then what did they do? Once they know they can't get the 2/3 that is required, there was, why are they using voice vote for what is constitutionally a number game? And they all have it next to their microphones. The button is there for digital voting. Why don't they just use that? It's there. So all the process was illegal. Why? Because they needed to get Fubara out of the way. Now the sole administrator is appointing everybody he feels like equally sole administrators, having displaced the people that we have elected, quote and unquote. Not saying that the initial elections for River State was the best, no. But democracy is under threat. For those who will not run into the party, the ruling APC, they are coerced. Just like we see, and this could be the fate of probably those other states that were governed by non-APC leaders were giving like the options. And so they opted for, on your mandate we shall stand. What democracy would we have at the end of the day? And if the people don't stand up to say this cannot go on, who would? So we are under threat. So they have freedom of association,
Yes,
however.
they do.
But they went there on the mandate of the people. Agree that the Constitution tells them if the party is in such disarray that it will affect their the survival of their political growth, they can. But if, like in Delta, they claim aligning with the party in power is to bring goodies to the people of Delta, does it mean that the years they have been there, people of Delta have not enjoyed goodies? Last time I checked, yes, they haven't. Because if they already have the goodies and they're giving their people, they don't need to go elsewhere to give the people, except if there's a different subvention that APC state governors are enjoying. What are they doing with the current subvention of the party they're receiving, of the state that is coming? What are they doing with it? Do they need to go under the APC before they can serve their people? Are they there on the mandate of the APC or the mandate of the people who elected them? So it means they don't have trust that their people will vote them back into power. They have betrayed the people.
Rwang Jr., let me just for the sake of this conversation, let me draw attention to even an example you've given now. You gave an example with Malaysia. Which opposition party was in Malaysia when Lee Kuan Yew was, sorry, Singapore, when Lee Kuan Yew was developing that country? He did not brook opposition. You give an example here now with China. Which party, which opposition does the Communist Party brook? Just a minute.
They didn't quite.
Just a minute.
Yeah, okay.
I'm asking that question. This Russia today is one of the strongest economies in the world. No matter what you may say about them. They are self-reliant. They are independent. They can contest their own anytime, anywhere. They can provide for their people, no matter what you think. Does democracy really mean multi-partyism?
No,
must
it
it
doesn't.
be a multi-party thing for democracy to work?
Well, when we say
Are we just being enamored by numbers?
no, it's not like it has to be multi-party. But the democracy we have chosen, we had a choice in 57 to make what kind of government do we want. And democracy as we have it works if only the actors are honest. I believe that no matter the nomenclature we give, whether it's a capitalist or whatever kind of government we have, the individuals that are giving the trust of the people have to be honest and sincere to delivering the dividends to their people, and honest and fair to all people, equity and justice, security and the welfare of the people. So you can, for example, if I move out from Asokoro and I want to get to Ibadan, every road I take can lead me to Ibadan. If we all agree that we'll take this road and take a detour here, it will get us there. But what we have is we want to get to the Ibadan, but then the driver has eaten the money that we're going to use for fuel. So no matter how much we argue there, as long as we keep having thieves in charge of our resources, people who are not accountable, we are going nowhere. We have recycled politicians, and most of them have their children going back into the polity. We have them having their own children directly nominated into the judicial system. We have them, so both INEC, the judiciary, and the Senate and the House of Reps is their children. Why can't we have our own children, these youths that are graduating from the universities daily, doctorates and the rest of them, performing beautifully? Why can't we have an opening for them in our own Senate? Must they keep jackpying before they can have a livelihood? Our best doctors are leaving the country. The best of what we have, that is one indication of a one-party state. It doesn't accommodate them. It doesn't give you a chance for growth. So the brains are running away. And what do? They will keep hemorrhaging these assets of the country, which is the greatest assets that we have, to other countries. They're developing New York, they're developing Texas, they're developing in London and the rest of them. best pilots, best doctors from Nigeria.
Rwang Jr., this group is called the Coalition
For Protection, actually.
and Defend Our Democracy.
Okay.
COP them.
Yeah.
Coalition.
Yes, sir.
I heard also, in fact, most likely before the week runs out,
Yeah.
I'm going to host another member of a coalition. Now, some elements in the People's Democratic Party, Labour Party, and some people who call themselves those mindful of Nigeria's survival and Nigeria's progress. They say they want to get together to form a coalition to unseat the present party from government. Are you people interested in a special purpose vehicle? Let me call it that. Because you want access to power? Or are you rethinking the Nigerian states? Are you rethinking Nigerian politics? Are you rethinking political parties and what they ought to do? Because if you're not going for a special purpose vehicle, it means all you want is to grab power.
Now, in all fairness, at the risk of trying to sound politically correct, the Nigerian presidency is the most powerful in the world so far, where all the defense mechanism is on the table of Mr. President. All the finance institutions, the sources of wealth, whether it is solid mineral or custom and excise, it's on the table of Mr. President. The appointment of those people are the state information power, information ministry structure is under the government. Apart from now that, of course, the National Broadcasting Commission has given licenses for stations like this.
Now, nobody's going to tell me what to say.
Good. Now, all those are in the table of Mr. President. INEC, the institution that is supposed to be saddled with the responsibility of our democracy, the appointment of the head is on his table. So anybody he appoints for INEC, customs, immigration, NNPC, and solid minerals, and everyone is friend, family, just like we had in the Buhari administration. It gives room for nepotistic distribution of these offices, opportunities. So it's back to him. Whether he's wrong or right, these people are subservient to him and loyal to him. So we don't have a system that is independent of that. So our people say, if you want to kill a snake, cut the head. So our political structure is more of a snake. And we need to make sure that these powers are dissolved. From the body language of the current administration, they are not interested in seeing that these powers are dissolved.
Rampam, I don't want to abridge your line of thought. Please you continue.
Yeah.
Are you therefore not convinced that to kill the snake and not scotch it, you need to restructure the system?
Yes, definitely.
Do you believe in restructuring Nigeria, therefore?
Nigeria needs to be restructured.
And educate me on what you mean by restructuring.
In all its ramifications. The initial map of Nigeria was, we didn't have states like this. But even with the current states, let resource control at least come on the states. And send what you are able to do. Sustain yourself and send a percentage to the center, and not the other way around. Because we cannot be losing our habitat, our means of livelihood in the Niger Delta as fish farmers, and then we don't have anything for it. So why don't we, in the process of restructuring the country, let push resource control? These very offices I've just mentioned, they're supposed to have, they're supposed to be within the various regions or states, if you may, with some kind of control. Now, yes, let me just leave it as at that. Restructuring will come. But it has to be a process.
Let me drag you to a particular direction.
Okay.
And I'm going to take from your comment.
Okay.
You said that this country is richly endowed.
Very much.
And there's no one state in this country that does not have enough to be viable.
Yes.
You have mentioned Zamfara, you have mentioned Niger State, you have mentioned Nasarawa State, you have mentioned Plateau.
Yeah.
Why, therefore, do you think the system seems afraid of letting the federating units explore and exploit that which are richly endowed? Why?
The system is enjoying the decayed democracy we are. We are suffering. They are enjoying it. It is the milk. The current structure is the goose that's laying the golden eggs for them. A restructured Nigeria, where we will depend on the resources that are available within our respective domains, will mean that there is no, that monopoly is broken. And we will only send a percentage of what we're able to generate to the center.
Kindly let me also take from what you said, please, because this part of this conversation is critical.
It is.
You've mentioned Nasarawa State, you've mentioned Zamfara, you've mentioned Niger.
Yeah.
I want to extend it to the Katsina. I want to extend it to Kano. I want to extend it to Borno, Bauchi, and Gombe. Each of these states that I have mentioned, following from the resource map of Nigeria, I'm not a geologist, is capable of earning more money than their share of the federation allocation every month. Is capable from their own internal resources to earn much more than this distributive democracy. And you say it is the structure is the goose that lays the golden egg for them.
Yeah.
When this goose right in their own environment can lay much more eggs, golden eggs, than they are getting from what is being shared today. And I'm pushing you to an argument that Nigeria's challenge is a delayed agenda. Some interests think that by the present structure, they can be profiting from these golden eggs until the goose is aged, tired, and of no egg consequence. Then they fall back on their own goose, left all this while, to begin to determine what happens to everybody else.
Yeah, that narrative is there. But the problem is they didn't produce the first goose in the first place. And if the eggs are allowed to hatch for every of the various states, you're right, they will have more.
Nasarawa State is said to be capable of running Nigeria's finances if its solid minerals are explored, harnessed, and put to collective use. Zamfara gold, I'm told, and Sokoto and Katsina gold are enough to get South Africa out of the gold market, out of the gold business.
Yes.
And yet, what you just said frightens me as an old man. That I might not even be here to see that child in Zamfara State who is hungry this morning with begging bowls and walking the street. Why only last week his emir was given a 2024 SUV, that boy walking the street may never eat well even after I'm no longer here, because somebody is refusing to allow the goose in her father's land to lay the golden egg. You see, one pointing this to you, that when you say you are afraid, do this constitute part of your threat?
It is a major part of the threat. Look, almost everything we're talking about, almost the entire dilemma of Nigeria is connected. Not the politics is just the charade, it's just the SPV.
The veneer.
Yes, that's a special purpose vehicle. They are benefiting in too many ways that it is disgraceful to even talk about. Like Niger State, the land is enough to cater for the whole country. Belgium, let's say. Because they have enough, apart from the resources, the land mass is enough for numerous agricultural purposes. Each of these states can stand on its own far much more. Now, because they don't control the resources, they will say, okay, we're waiting for the center to send our allocation. But what about the mining sector? Can't you do it on your own? You don't have the authority. Everything you have to go to the center. Yes. They discovered an airstrip in Kogi. I saw it. I was really, not really shamed, but I had that fear, but it was there. Right somewhere there, and they are mining. Collecting these things like Oshumole said. Bring the helicopters, take it, cut it away. And when how did they get their protection? It is alluded that they get the people around, pay them, get weapons for some of the thugs they hire, the locals, and say there is insecurity here. They drive anybody that is close to their operational base, except if you want to be conscripted, and pay them and make them their foot soldiers. So nobody goes there. So planes come, take and go. The resources of Nigeria. So it's going to individual pockets. And the thing is, our current structure, we need a center that has the willpower to liberate Nigeria from this slavery. We have it, we are independent, but are we really independent? No, we are not. We are choked with IMF and everything down our throats. We do nothing about it. We are not making the decisions.
Yeah, but your leaders, please, with Rampanjini, with all due respect, IMF didn't come here and stock their system and stock their loans into your accounts and forced you to take them. Your leaders went for them.
Yeah.
They went for the loans.
That is why we're
saying the country went for the loans.
Exactly. And they're still getting loans to pay our salaries, to pay their salaries. So that's why COPDEM is here, the Coalition for the Protection of Democracy, is saying stand up or we are going to lose massively more than we think we have lost. Stand up and fix the country from whoever is in the seat of power. From among us, we know those who are capable. We know those who can change it. Why are we afraid of speaking out and say, ABC, go and represent us? Must we always wait and say, okay, they have taken everything, there's nothing we can do? That cowardice mentality has to go because we don't have that luxury. Who will change it?
Who will change it? But let me also draw your attention to the areas you've called for attention.
Yeah.
In your conversation yesterday with the media, you drew attention to what you called democratic health to strengthen checks and balances.
Yeah.
You also talked about policy initiatives, a change in policy direction, economic revival, and lastly, national unity. And you think that 1, 2, 3, 4 issues or 5 issues, are they absent today? Is democratic health to strengthen checks and balances. You have a National Assembly, you have opposition parties. The government is not asking you not to speak out. The government is not asking you not to provide alternatives to their own policies, fault their policies and suggest alternatives. That's why I get worried. You people in politics and you people in the civil societies, you criticize the government. You say, look, our democracy is not working. We need to do this. Yet you don't provide alternative thought. PDP's policies are not any different from APC's policies, if you don't mind. The Labour Party, yes, a new Nigeria is possible. Can you tell me what things? Please, let me draw attention to something. And I'm talking from what was before.
Yeah.
This country, I just told one of your politicians who came here last week, I said to him, Aminu Kano died for Talakawaism, the emancipation of the Talakawa.
Yeah.
No, I won't accept begging balls in Kano, he said.
Yeah.
I don't want people going around begging. I insist that what is good for the emir is good for the Talakawa. He stood on it until he died. There was a driving thought, a driving principle. These coalitions expressing fears and asking us to see red herrings and red flags.
Yeah.
What do you stand for? What is your alternative thought?
You're absolutely right. Do we have democratic health? A healthy democracy is one that you can speak and you are free to speak and express yourself.
You are expressing yourself. Who's hounding you?
What happened to Dele Farotimi? Where is David Hyundai? There's a limit to which people can speak and remain at home. When Melafia or late Badia Melafia spoke, by the next day he was with the DSS office. There's a limit to what you can say. So yes, we have freedom of association, and we call ourselves anything. Now, some are saying once you have a shadow government, it is illegal, it is not in the Constitution. Is pilfering the coffers of your state legal? Desperate times call for desperate measures. So we may have a lot of this. Our policies are superb, Chief, but implementation is a facade. They are not following it.
Let me draw attention to current. I want you to be able to convince me so that I can also cast my vote for your thoughts.
Okay.
The former governor of Delta State, Okowa, was facing EFCC investigation over some trillions of naira. And Adams Oshomole had once recommended that, and you said this this morning, that if you join APC, your sins are forgiven. The moment that Okowa defected, one of you was here in the studio, and he raised the red flag. He said, I will follow the matter of Okowa's prosecution and know the outcome, because this EFCC had started investigating him, detained him, or invited him because of some amount of money. Will that case disappear because he has changed camp? Nobody came here to hound and arrest the gentleman. He was free, he expressed his opinion and used facts. Isn't it your own docility as politicians and your willingness to put a price tag on yourself, and when it is paid you keep quiet, that is causing it instead of the system? Please help me.
We have conventional politicians. There are two aspects to that one. But you know the case of Issa Atiku, the NANS president. He was offered 100 million, according to him.
He has said so publicly.
He has said so publicly.
Good.
He mentioned names of public individuals.
Yes.
And yet, after that, I don't know if he has resurfaced when they went for the inauguration. So there are some people, there's a limit to freedom of expression. So we say it, and some can say it and go free. Some, once you are available, you are dispensable. Now, politicians are docile, and our own call from the Directorate of Mobilization, Civil Societies and Progressive Engagements of the ADC, we don't want to remain with what we have. We're going outside the box. ADC amended its constitution to accept any Nigerian of voting age who can take decisions on his own to be a member of the ADC and to hold elective positions within the ADC and to contest the very day you are joining. Why are we taking that move? Is to make sure that the recycled politicians and their policies and their modus operandi, shifts away. Nigeria didn't get to this state in this decay in 1 year. It is a process. Now, if you attacked the system, you hit a brick wall. You have to, like you said, are we not just looking for a special purpose vehicle to have this one? You cannot get to will or get close to political power to effect this change without that special purpose vehicle, no matter how well intentioned you are. So one, as we speak, we have over 84 people who are joining ADC, I want to represent my constituency in the House of Representatives. I've never been there before, but I have a lot I can do for our people. We're tired of this charade. So we're taking them through a process, resetting of their minds. Are you sure you would not go and defect when the price is? So they sign documents, we try, we watch, we encourage each other, we have sessions. We have something called the People's Parliament daily today in Copedem during weekdays at 7 p.m. each day. We discuss these things, we encourage them. Each of this 84, and the population is still growing, of new people, brand new politicians, students coming out of the universities with their masters, with theses in new researches on how to move the country right. We're trying to give them an opening. So we don't have those who have tested the honey of that fornication and keep returning to Delilah. So things like that. So these new people are coming, 240 for House of Assemblies, and we're barely a month or two old.
Okay, I will come to that. I'll come to that because there has been an argument in this studio.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a short break, but there has been an argument in this studio that political parties and political groups are making themselves into a Ponzi scheme. We'll discuss this shortly. Well, the state of the Nigerian state is our democracy under siege. That's the issue we are conversing on this morning. We take a short break. My guest is still in the studio and will return shortly. Please don't go away.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Well, we're still here in the studio discussing the state of the Nigerian state and whether our democracy is under siege. And my guest still remains Rwang Jr. He is the chairperson of COPDEM, the Coalition for the Defense of Our Democracy. Rwang,
Yes.
before I took that short break, I said some people are not arguing really that our political parties are simply Ponzi schemes. And I remember that, as you said to me, we have 84 young people, there are 200 and something who want to go for House of Reps. We give them all the opportunities to go and represent their people. You started bringing in your African Democratic
Party. Congress. African Democratic
Congress. Yeah. And that was why I interjected. You say our democracy is under siege.
Yeah.
The parties doing it now are not doing it well. And one of the arguments against them is that each time electoral contest is to begin, for anybody who wants to contest, they put the central bank budget as a condition. Expression of interest, 100 million expression of interest for the president. Expression of interest for the governor. It can be any amount. Chairmanship, councillorship, blah, blah, blah. And that effectively shoulders out anybody who is not a money bag, who is deep, whose pocket is not deep. Making it a contest for those who have money. And that effectively shuns off the professor of economics, who has always an egghead, but has no money. that removes the expert engineer who contributes so much. That removes the expert in railway technology, and that removes the very honest man. Very honest man. I would have played back a clip by the Vice Chancellor of Stanford University a few days ago. He said that every other Nigerian politician comes out 1,000 times richer than he went in. He cited an Islamic figure in the Sokoto Caliphate, Bello. And somebody came to see the Bello and said, is it Caliphate or whatever Bello? And he said, yes. But that the work of his office was not meant for self-enrichment, but was for the good of the people.
Yeah.
Now, the Ponzi scheme that political parties have become, like yours now trying to come together, will you also say, before I join the party and contest as a local government councillor, I will have to give 2 million naira as expression of interest? So at the end of it, the Ponzi scheme owners go home smiling to the bank.
Well, at the risk of usurping the authority of the National Working Committee
Of your party.
of the party, political parties have that within their frame, different rates.
First, as a principle,
First,
do
as a
you
principle.
endorse that Ponzi scheme?
No, not at all. Absolutely. But the motor, no, they go right. You don't go change that from outside. The car is not going in the direction. You need to get into the same car. And then you can steer it or reduce the brake or reduce the gear so that you can negotiate the cons very well. So you cannot address Nigeria's political challenges from outside. You must be part of the system. No matter how it takes for you to get in there, as long as multifaceted, we can only treat one at a time. While we would want to have that as an INEC rule, as part of the electoral reforms, which of course we will drive for, no one is
You also
in doubt.
want to survive as a party.
Yeah, survival.
Say it straight. You want to survive as a party. You need some money to survive as a party.
Not 100 million naira. That makes the party transactional. If I ask our cameraman to come and contest for House of Representatives and he needs 20 million naira,
He's out of it.
he's out of it. Now,
I can't contest.
so good. So you and I will go and look for the paymaster and say, give this boy 50 million. Then who is he going to be subservient to?
And when he wins, he accounts to the paymaster.
Good. He has a godfather. So in order to kill godfatherism, we have to bring this cost down. In order to make elective positions non-attractive for criminals, we have to bring it down. How do our forefathers manage the whole of the territory of Nigeria, where the candidates paying money for declaration of interest before you become the bungum of Jaws or
Whatever is going to be.
emir of so and so? No, they just look for the best among those who are eligible, and know that if you pick the wrong person, the whole people will suffer. Things fall apart. The center will never hold. So it is not only in the Nigerian politics. Nigeria is a peculiar country. We had problems with our vehicles and kidnappers and so on. Until we change our number plates, then we have some kind of stability. We cannot just copy and paste what every other country is doing. We have a peculiar nation, a unique one. Our problems, our solutions have to be homegrown.
Tailored to fit our
Yeah,
circumstances.
yes.
I'm looking at my time, and my producer is also giving me a signal.
Okay.
I have not exhausted some of the issues you raised. You spoke about policy innovation.
Yeah.
And economic revival.
Yeah.
Now, for you to say this needs to be done to recover the country and improve it, it means some things are absent. Policy innovation. What will innovate differently? What will bring differently from what is government? After all, this government is giving out money through the social register.
Yeah.
This government is giving out money for startups.
Yes,
This
that's
government
right.
is giving out money for empowerment of the women. This government, let me also be frank with you, this government has voted more money than any government in the history of this country into agriculture. Than any government in the history of this country.
Okay.
So innovation, what new policies are you going to bring in that would attract me, for instance?
If I am in business and I'm earning 5-10 million naira in a month, will I go for your rice palliative?
No, I will not.
So why do I need it? Make business enabling environment a key priority of the government. And one of them means fighting corruption headlong. No foreign investors will come. Nobody will come and invest in a country that the judiciary is a failed system, because he would have no recourse, no justice will be meted to him. Those policies must be in place. And let me say, maybe on a final note, it's this business enabling environment is one thing. And sorry, the thought just skipped my memory here. Good policy shift. And when you get a company, a parastatal not functioning, why do you just go ahead and fire the guy when there is, you believe, fuel subsidy is a scam? Why do you have a policy, okay, it's gone?
And that policy remains.
Yeah, but that's a problem. That's a big problem. So how about an alternative policy, like instead of firing any corrupt service, just follow the money, get the culprits, indict them, let them face the law,
recover the money.
Recover the money, then you can close the agency if you want. So, but then once you recover the money, the place will be sanitized. It's because there's no consequence, or is it because my friend or brother is involved in it? So that is how we have to have a rethink when it comes to our policies. The policies should be solution-driven. I take Nevaquin or something for malaria. Now, is it because of the absence of taking the Nevaquin that I have malaria? No, I have malaria because of the mosquito. So let's deal with the mosquitoes.
Okay, because I'm running out of time.
Yeah.
There's a critical issue raised.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm coming to it last, and that is the factor of national unity. Let me go back to Buhari's regime. Buhari's mantra was national unity is non-negotiable. And now, one of the things you say that ought to be done is strengthening Nigeria's unity, national unity. That supposes that our unity is shaky. Is it shaky?
Our unity is shaky. We have Pandev in the south-south. We have the no working Monday, no work days in the southeast. We have the Oduduwa Republic threatening to also move out. We have the Arewa team saying we must not live together. It's clear. It's very, very clear. And the secessionists get reason when the system is not being fair to all. And it is no much more than that. If all your children come and you treat them equally, no one will say, Daddy hates me. There has to be a reason. It's either the person has not thought it out well, or the person, has actually been mischievous.
I'm going to be abridging you because I'm told this is my last question.
Okay.
But because I have a sentimental attachment to Plateau State.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know why. Maybe I all the years I was there, I was a very happy person.
Oh, beautiful.
I was a very happy person. I was a follower of Solomon Law for a very long time. So some of those sentiments.
Yes, yes.
Do you think that land grabbing is part of Nigeria's structural challenge?
Land grabbing is a major part. You just struck a nerve. A day after the attack in Dogonahawa, I was there. In fact, all night we heard the guns shots, gun blazing. I went there with my camera and I saw my own relatives on the ground, slaughtered. That is one place. But as we stand, I remember the last time I was on air in 2021, 40 communities in Plateau State were sacked. Some of these communities that were sacked are occupied by some heard us.
So I'm very sorry. My producer says this is almost news time.
Oh dear.
Maybe we are running beyond our schedule. I was going to treat a matter that is dear to my heart, but I think we can come back on that again because it's a matter that needs to be interrogated. In over 1 hour, I've been conversing with Rwang Jr. He is the chairperson of SPANDEP, the coalition to protect and defend democracy in Nigeria. Coalition for the protection of democracy in Nigeria. The state of Nigerian state is democracy under siege. That has been the issue. Well, as I promised you some time back, I'm bringing a mechanism through which you can also talk to us while this program is going on. I hope we fix it quickly and so that we can make it more interactive. For today, I want to thank you for investing your time with us, and let me on behalf thank Rwang Jr. for coming to the program.
Thank you so much, Chief.
I hope to see you in just one of these days.
Anytime. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And that's the program for this Wednesday. My name never changes. It's always Mwabos and Joko. Please have a great Wednesday afternoon. Thank you very much for being with us.